quite nowhere like he did like the last run, but here he all of a sudden it's hooking up right there, and he's starting to pull the sled a little bit. Side of the cameraman there just a little bit coming down there. He's right close to the end there.
He came close to that
run.
side.
I think they're going to keep that sled weighted just the way it is.
Well, he pulled at 286.78 feet and came close to that near side line.
Yes, he did. As you've seen right there, a lot of dirt kicked up. He's getting a lot of tire speed right here. Now, you would think he's not going to do real good. When he comes down a little bit farther, it hooks up, and he just takes off down the track. And look how close he is to the line there.
Well, Wayne had his hands full trying to keep it in bounds. Let's check in with Mike Goss at Trackside.
Wayne, does the sled feel a little light to you?
Yeah, off the line it was a little greasy, but once I got it going it felt real light, and I hit some bad tracks, and I had to use my brakes, otherwise I would have got it all the way out.
So John Hileman in the Levi Garrett team out of Rockford, Ohio, he'll have his work cut out for him as he takes his 5-engine tractor for a ride to beat the lead distance now of 286.78 feet. That was set by Wayne Keefe.
Yeah, and one thing he said about hitting his brakes, now you might think, what's he doing hitting his brakes? Well, the reason for that, since he came so close to that sideline, he had to tap on that right brake a little bit to try to stay in bounds.
Now, here we have John. He's on the far right side of the track.
Yeah, he's going to try a different angle here. Now, look at the way he's coming out. Same way. He's coming out real hard, but he's kicking up a lot of dirt. Now, I said this track has got a lot of loose sand in it. As you can see it flying right over the board there in front of the sled that keeps that dirt down. And he doesn't do real good there.
No, he's not. He's well off the pace. Just 209.02 feet for John Hileman.
Is a little heavy on the front end. Now, you don't see there's only one weight hanging off the front end. Now, these guys put all the weight they could on them back tires to try to get as much traction as possible, but it's still a little too loose for them.
Well, as a result, they never quite got the momentum to get him out of that starting line. Let's go down and check in with Mike Goss at Trackside.
John, you can't be too satisfied with that.
No, that was definitely a driver error. I got in a hurry. I thought the track would take all the power. I just got in a hurry and I blew it.
So it'll be the big man, Big John Carlton, in the Virginia Farmer. He's out of Little Plymouth, Virginia.
Now, one thing about this track and these tractors, all that horsepower sometimes doesn't help. This track is so loose, these guys got to come out it real easy. But now watch, a lot of these guys, they just come out real hard and hope that they get down and get some hard stuff. Like right there, look at the dirt flying up behind him. He's just got to hammer down there, Stan.
He's punching it hard, and a lot of shaking, rattling, and rolling going on. Whoa!
He lost the blower belt on that side engine right there, but all the rest of them are still going now. That's one way, the way these things are hooked up together. It can stay together and he can keep running.
Well, there he had just 228.53 feet. Did that loss of the blower belt hurt him on that?
It might have a little bit. Now, he lost a little horsepower, but it didn't bring the other engines down. It went dead, so he lost that horsepower, so he's just dragging that extra weight, and it's not doing it. But you see right there, you've seen it come apart. Now, it has that shield on there just to keep that from flying off and injuring anybody.
Well, he gave it all that the vehicle had, and the Virginia Farmer just couldn't quite do it. So next, it's Dave Walsh, the Irish Challenger. Rich, this is one of the most powerful tractors out here.
That's right, it is, Stan. He's running all 4 engines that are all aluminum. They're about 1,700 horsepower apiece. And now, that's one thing that this track is a little bit different. All that horsepower might not do a lot of good because you get too much tire speed, and it's actually going to hurt you.
Well, he's lined up a little bit left of center, has to go 286.78 feet.
And another thing we can say about this now, on the last tractor, when he blew that engine, he was able to keep going. Now, the way the Irish Challenger's engines are hooked up, if he loses one engine, he loses it all, and he's got to slow down and just stop their pull.
Well, not a good run for the Irish Challenger, just 185.22 feet.
Yeah, he couldn't use all that horsepower he had. He just, as you can see on the red butterflies on the injectors, they're not open all the way, so he's not giving it all the horsepower that engine's capable of doing.
Dave, it doesn't look like the tires ever really settled down. Do you think you drove too hard off the line?
Well, I think I'm a little heavy up front. The track is just too soft. You can't get a bite on it, and just spinning in the dirt, you know. You can't lift the front, you can't go anywhere.
So next it's going to be Fred Freeman. We just saw him a while ago in Mean Mistreater. He's coming back after the test pull. He's out of Wadesville, Indiana. It took Ron Hickson for one heck of a ride, Rich.
Yeah, and one thing I must mention about this tractor now, it doesn't have the horsepower like the Irish Challenger does. Matter of fact, it's a lot less. Now, he's got 4 engines on there, but they're not aluminum engines, they're cast iron. And look how good he's doing. He's got that front end carrying up. He's got an excellent run here, Stan. There's boxes all the way up. He's still going.
Not bad at all. He had to go 286. Didn't go quite enough, but 281.56 feet.
Yeah, Stan, now here shows your driving skills, and this guy's been doing a lot, and he knows what he's doing, especially on this kind of track. And look, his weight is perfect. He's carrying that front end about a foot off the ground, and he's getting all his traction back to the rear tires.
Well, Rich, this is going to put him in second place. He's just about 5 feet behind leader Wayne Keefe in Sudden Thunder.
And an excellent run. As you can see, the sled, the box is all the way at the top, and he's still going, just carrying that front end just a little bit.
All right, let's check in with Mike Goss.
Fred, it looks like the key's just a baby it off the line.
Yeah, Mike, you got to make your tractor really hook out there, or you're never going to go anywhere. You can see by the rest of them guys, they didn't drive very well, and they didn't go real far either. But one thing about it is you just got to know how to set your equipment up for this type track to make it work, or if you're going to do any good. I would have liked to bend towards the front of the class a little more, but you know how that goes.
Well, I have more of the 7,200-pound tractors when action continues from Raleigh on Trucks and Tractor Power. On State Fairgrounds in Raleigh, and our current standings after 6 poles. Wayne Keefe is in first, driving Sudden Thunder, 286.78 feet, followed by Fred Freeman and Mean Mistreater, 281.56 feet, just about 5 feet behind him. And then John Carlton in the Virginia Farmer, 228.53 feet. And now we have Phil Patterson in Sassy Massey. He's out of Richfield Springs, New York. So Phil's going to give his shot at his 4 JP1 Racing Hemis to see how well he'll do.
Yeah, and of course, these engines are hooked together, crank to crank with a crossbox, just like the Irish Challenger. So let's hope he can keep all 4 of them running. But right now, he's got them running, but his tires are just sitting there spinning, and he's going nowhere, Stan. He's just barely bringing that sled down the track, kicking up a lot of dirt. It's just not enough weight back there on the end. You can tell he's just not going anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of rear tire vibration, 165.85 feet. Not good for Phil Patterson.
As you can see right there, look at all that shaking and stuff he's doing. Now, what that is he's just spinning. He's not going anywhere, and he's not getting any traction, and them tires are just skimming across the top of that sand.
So, not a good run for Phil Patterson, 165.85 feet. You know, Rich, one thing that fascinates me about these multiple engine tractors is how all these engines work together in different configurations.
Judging from our mail, our fans are real interested in multiple engine tractors and how they work. Well, we already seen when the engines are mounted crank to crank with a crossbox like on the Irish Challenger. But the engines on Tim Engler's tractor are transverse mounted. Now, the way this works is inside this box is a number of gears, like 3 gears, a lot like what's in your rear axle of your car. Now, one connected to each engine, and then one down through the center that's connected